OpenAI's new AI deep researcher is a game changer. Or is it? After all, right now it's only available on the Pro plan with plans to bring it to the Plus and free plans eventually. But that Pro plan costs $200 a month. And right now, Google has their own version of deep research that they actually did first, and it's significantly cheaper. So what gives OpenAI? Well, I'm going to actually break down all of this for you and see, is it actually worth it to take out a Pro subscription to ChatGPT just so you can use this deep research feature? And we'll see, is it actually any good? Let's get into it. All right, so I've done a couple of different research tasks here with deep research inside of ChatGPT. I've specifically chosen topics that are relevant to me as an author to hopefully give you ideas on how you could use deep research for your writing. If you were writing a science fiction or something, you could research technologies and theoretical physics and things like that. If you're researching historical fiction, you can research that particular time period. Even if you're writing contemporary fiction, you could research the specific area that you're going to be talking about, because you might not have been there or what have you. You might also want to research things like psychology or sociology. There's all kinds of different research needs that an author has. Now, right now, because I write mythology-inspired fiction, I'm currently putting together a couple of lists of different mythologies and different myths within those mythologies. And so I gave it a prompt that said, I want a complete list of African mythology tales. This must be thorough. And then it gave me a follow-up question. I've noticed that pretty much all of the research that I've done so far inside of ChatGPT has given me a follow-up question to clarify a few things. And so, asked me a few things, and I said, all right, I want a detailed list by region and or culture. It said, great, I'll compile a detailed list. And then it started the research. It took about 16 minutes for the entire thing to go. So it's out there looking at all kinds of websites and everything. And it gave me 34 sources. Okay. And from those 34 sources, it gave me this. So after 16 minutes, I got this response. So we have different mythologies here from the Yoruba, which is the African tribes in Nigeria. And please forgive me if I'm ignorant of the pronunciation or anything like that. But it gave me a bunch of different things here from different regions. And then I thought, okay, this is good, but it's just like a big giant wall of text. And plus, each of these paragraphs has multiple myths in it sometimes. So I just came down here to the bottom. And once it had done all the research, I was able to ask follow-up questions so it can use the research it's done so far in order to answer those questions. So I said, please reframe all of this into a list of all tales with a title for each tale, followed by a colon, then a one-sentence summary of the tale. And it gave me, here's a comprehensive list. And then it gave me the full list here with divided up by different regions, which I thought was incredibly helpful. Now, I'm pretty sure from having done research like this on other mythologies that this is not quite thorough. And so I would still probably want to go through some books and make sure that everything is there. It's certainly not going to be thorough to the actual indigenous people of these groups, right? But in terms of what it's able to find on the internet, I think it's probably close. But I would still probably go and look at a couple of books and things like that to find maybe some more obscure myths that didn't make it into this list. But it did a good job. It's certainly a great starting point. Now, kind of going along with that, I did another one on Mesopotamian myths. And this one, I thought it did maybe a little bit better. There's certainly less material about just Mesopotamia than there is for all of Africa, right? So this one, it did pretty good. And then also I did one here just about daily life in ancient Egypt. So my prompt was, give me a complete overview of what daily life would have looked like in Egypt during the 35th century BCE. And then it gave me that clarifying question, which I answered. And it gave me this actually genuinely useful rundown of everything you could think of for daily life in Egypt at this time. So we started with housing, with food and diet, with work and economy. And it's giving me information not just for the poor people, the laymen, but also for the upper classes and things like that, which is amazing material if you're a writer. Like this, if you write historical fiction, this deep research thing should 100% be your friend. Like this is something you're going to be using all the time if you're into historical fiction. I do historical fantasy, so I do appreciate a lot of this stuff. So we've got religions and beliefs, family structure and society, technology and tools, clothing and appearance. Like it really went all out and gave me a very, very detailed and thorough summary. Entertainment and leisure. And it gave me a whole bunch of the sources too. By the way, if we go up here, this took 7 minutes to do and it gave me 20 sources. And And you can actually see what those all are by checking this, and you can see the activity that it had, plus the list of sources that it had as well. So great stuff. Now, of course, this also brings in the problem, like, what if the information that it's researching is inaccurate? That's always going to be a potential problem. But I think that's a problem that we would have whether we were researching these things ourselves or using AI to research them. But I think when you're coming at this from the perspective of an author, who you're just doing this to sort of feed your own background on this subject, it's not necessarily a must that everything be perfect, right? I know some people in the historical fiction fields do get really hung up on specific details. And that, if that's you, that's okay. I do historical fantasy, so I have a lot more leeway on what is okay and not okay. But I would just say, like, just always remember that there could be inaccuracies in here just because of the source material that it's pulling from. Now, just to show off a different type of question that you could do here, I also asked it to give me information about how to quit impulsively eating and to work with that. So it gave me things like behavioral strategies to break impulsive eating patterns. So you can use this as a way of solving problems that you may have. I used the Google version of Deep Research a while back because I was having trouble with my computer with a specific software that I was using, and I just couldn't quite figure out what to do it, and I was having trouble finding information on the internet about what to do. So I had it deep research the whole thing, and it actually gave me a very thorough response that was very helpful. Although, to be fair, it actually didn't solve the problem. That problem remains unresolved because I couldn't find anybody to give me an answer for it, but that's a separate issue. So it gave me a bunch of strategies to break impulsive eating patterns, like practice mindful eating. I've actually found this one to be very accurate. Mindful eating is a great thing to practice if you are someone that struggles with food addiction. Modify your food environment. Like, it gave me really well thought out options, and I looked at these, I was just like, yeah, all of these make sense. And then it had, like, the next section, psychological approaches for food addiction and compulsive eating. So nutritional advice to stabilize hunger. So things like emphasizing protein and fiber. Yeah, that makes sense. Staying hydrated, limiting refined carbs and added sugars. Like, some of this feels a little obvious, but that's because I'm very familiar with this topic. There may be things in here. In fact, there were, even for me, things that I was reminded of. I was just like, oh yeah, I should probably do more of that. So yeah, it did a great job here. And overall, I'd say that this deep research thing was fantastic. Like, I thought it did the job extremely well. However, as of right now, as I'm recording this, this is a feature only available to those with a pro subscription, which is $200 a month. Is this worth $200 a month? I would say for the most part, no. The main reason for this is because there is another option significantly cheaper that is almost as good, maybe better, and that is Gemini. If you go into Gemini Advanced, you can select 1.5 Pro with deep research. So this uses the 1.5 Pro model, but it's also using this deep research tool. And I asked it the same question, asking for African mythology tales, and it gave me a very thorough answer as well. Not so much in the list format that I really wanted, so maybe I would need to be a little bit more clear there, but it gave me a whole bunch of really useful information about the different mythologies from the different regions of Africa. So we have, like, North African mythology, and here's a bunch of those, along with some mythical creatures and things like that. Creation myths, heroes' tales, moral fables. Then it moves on to South African mythology, East African mythology, West African mythology. One thing it didn't do was ask me a follow-up question after I made the initial request. However, it did give me the plan that it was going to go with, and I think I could edit that plan if I wanted to before I started the research. Now, since I've done the research, so I can't go and edit the plan now, but you can go in and make tweaks to the plan that it gives you if you realize that it's not actually going to be researching the right thing. And the thing is, this is a lot cheaper. The Gemini Advanced costs $20 a month, certainly a lot cheaper than $200 for OpenAI. And I'm not sure if it's available on the free version of Gemini. Somebody out there can confirm that for me or not. My guess is this would be a pro feature because it is a resource intensive use of the AI to go out and do all of this research, to summarize it all, to give you pretty lengthy outputs, etc. So this is really what I would use for most of you. It is pretty good. It's going to do all of the same things. In fact, I would even say that that Google is in a position to do this even better because Google is the undisputed king of researching the web. That's what they do. They go out there, they categorize everything, and they've been doing that for decades now. And say what you would say about Google and their corporate structure and trying to appeal to the shareholders and all of that stuff. There's certainly problems there, but I think that they understand the internet better than most companies and therefore could probably do something like this a little bit better. Also, it's really well integrated with the Google ecosystem. For instance, I can take this information that it just gave me here and put it into a Google Doc with just a click right here. Also, I can see a big long list of everything that they have researched for this particular answer. And you can see it's quite a long list of sites here. And actually, we can count them up and it's 108 websites. You'll recall that for this same question about African mythology, OpenAI gave me only 34 sources. Now, we could probably examine these sources and see if they're like, are they higher quality sources and that sort of thing. But my guess is that Google is just genuinely more thorough about this stuff. And so I'm inclined to use Gemini a little bit more through Google's ecosystem than through OpenAI's. However, if OpenAI's tools eventually come to the Plus platform, which is $20 a month, or the free platform, which would be even better, if that's what you use, if you use ChatGPT a lot, it's going to be good for you. And there was something about the answers that it gave me that I liked more, maybe something about the presentation or what have you that I did quite like about OpenAI's version of deep research. But when you just compare the costs and everything, I would say just go with Gemini for now until something changes. So those are my thoughts on deep research. If you're interested in learning more about how to use AI as a productive tool in your writing process, go check out this video where I go through everything you need to know, and I will see you in that video.